Hey, how's it going? This is Kyle Brown with Clawhammer Supply. Today we're going to be talking about the assembly of our white oak aging barrel. The first step is going to be to remove the burrs from the end caps. You're going to want some 100 grit or finer sandpaper for this, and all you are trying to do is remove the burrs. Don't round the edges. We want the edges to still be square, but the burrs to be gone. While you're watching me do this in fast motion, I'll run through the parts that you should have with the kit. 2 end caps, one with a hole for filling, 15 staves, one with a hole for venting, 2 corks, one large, one small, 2 stainless steel clamps, and not pictured here but included with the kit, 1 small stainless steel funnel for filling the kit. Alright, once you're done sanding down the end caps, we're going to want to clean up the staves. So as you can see here, there's a little bit of wood, generally some more additional burrs in the slot on the stave or the groove, or really technically the dado. You'll want to take a utility knife and remove those burrs by simply cutting them off, just like I've showed you here in the pictures. So just run through those one at a time and remove any excess wood or burrs, or we call it blowout, on the stave slots there. And once you're done with that, don't forget to sand the bung on the vent stave, and then sort of just eyeball them, make sure you have everything cleaned up, and then line them up. You'll need some painter's tape. Before we get to that part, though, let's talk about lining the proper alignment of the staves. From time to time, the ends of the staves, one side of the stave end will be longer than the other. They should all be consistent, though, so sometimes what you need to do is align the staves so that the end thickness is the same on both sides, and they're all properly aligned, just like I've done here. As you can see, proper alignment on the left looks much better than improperly aligned staves on the right. So take a look at that. That isn't something that you need to do for every batch of kit. We're still working on the production. In fact, it's probably very unlikely that you have to complete that step, because we're getting that kink worked out here, but from time to time you will notice a slight difference in the thickness. Okay, next, align the staves on the painter's tape, making sure you align the dado or the slot in the staves, not necessarily the ends of the staves. Alright, once you've done that, grab your end caps, and what you're going to want to do here is make sure that the grain of the end caps is running in the same direction. As you can see here, that it's running vertically. When you put the staves in the end caps on the staves, you want the grain running the right way. And another point, as I'm doing here, we want to make sure that the bung on the top is on the opposite side of the barrel from the bung in the vent stave. So in order to do so, find the vent stave, hopefully you put it on the end, and align the cap so that the bung is at the top. Alright, so here's our super fancy CGI barrel mock-up, and what we're showing you here is what happens if you don't align the staves properly with the flat parts of the caps. Properly aligned staves should look like that. This is what an improperly aligned stave looks like. All of those staves need to be shifted a little bit to the left there, as you can see, so the flat parts of the cap line up with the flat parts of the stave. Alright, once you are ready, stick the end caps in the stave slots as shown. Make sure you just line it up the best you can, and then just begin to roll the barrel. Apply lots of pressure. Again, this is what you don't want. This is what you do want. So kind of keep an eye on that as you're rolling it up. Apply lots of pressure and kind of push the end cap into each stave as you roll it along here. And oops, we've got an extra stave here. Had a stave lying around from another kit, so let's take that out of that. That was just accidental. And the very last step here, just kind of push that stave into place and kind of just squeeze it, hand tighten it. And one more time, just check that alignment and make sure that the staves are lined up properly. It looks pretty good here on this one, as you can see. And once you're confident and comfortable with that, pop that last stave on there and add maybe just squeeze it a bit with your hands there and add your clamps. So notice I'm using a screwdriver. I'm not using an impact drill, nothing power. You don't need a ton of torque here. You're just hand tightening this. You want it to get it as pretty much as tight as it's going to go, but don't over tighten because you don't want to mess up your clamp. So one thing to note here is that there will be some gaps, a little bit of gap between the staves at this stage. Here we've got one sort of larger gap between two of the staves, and the rest are pretty tight. It's okay, you're going to end up with a bit of gap between the staves before it's hydrated, but you want those gaps to be evenly spaced all the way around. So what I'm going to do is sort of just even these staves out just a tiny bit by shifting each one around that stave with a larger gap. So we have lots of staves with tiny little gaps in between them instead of just two staves with one large gap. And once you get that sorted out, you can start to tighten the clamps, again, with a screwdriver, nothing power. Don't use an impact driver, a drill, or anything like that. And what I like to do is sort of tap on the staves with the screwdriver or a little hammer or something like that as I'm tightening, just to sort of shift things around so I can get it as just absolutely as tight as possible before we begin the hydration process. All right, and once you get to this point, you've made it this far, congratulations. You've got yourself a barrel. It's not watertight yet, but that's what we're going to talk about next. So step 2 here is hydration. What we're going to do is you're going to need to get a bowl and some boiling water. Make sure you have the cork and the vent stave before you fill, obviously, and then just as simple as filling the barrel with some boiling water. It's best to use hot boiling water. You can see I'm just using the tea kettle here. Fill it up, put a cork in it, and you'll just leave it sit overnight. And the barrel will leak at this point. So if there's water pouring out of the sides, don't worry. That's actually supposed to happen at this point. What happens is the wood swells and starts to push on the rest of the wood in the barrel, and it actually squeezes so tight that it tightens up and then becomes watertight. All right, so we wait 24 hours. Remove the top cork, remove the cork in the side, and drain the barrel into the bowl or a sink or whatever is convenient. And if you haven't guessed, we're going to do this one more time. So you're going to need some more boiling water, and you'll either need to empty this bowl of water, you'll need to dump this old water, or and use that same bowl, or you'll need another bowl. Here I'm going to use a smaller container because it's pretty watertight at this point. We will have some leakage, but not as much as the last time. So again, don't forget to put the cork in the vent stave, and what you want to do next is fill the barrel again with boiling water. Be careful, it's hot. You don't want to splash it on yourself. So be very careful when you complete this process. Again, it's very likely that your barrel is still going to be leaking at this point. It's okay. It can take up to 3 days for the barrels to seal. Ideally, they'll seal after a day or two, but it can take up to 3 days. So if it's still leaking, just be patient. Drain the water and fill it again, and keep doing that until the barrel is watertight. So I'm just going to set this here, and actually on the second round, every subsequent round of filling you want to flip the barrel and hydrate the other side. All right, so I've done this again. I've waited another 24 hours, and I'm going to drain the barrel one more time. Sort of just fast forwarding through it this time, making sure I keep the cork in the vent stave, and then fill it up with some spirits. Don't use vodka or something with no flavor. Use something with a good bit of flavor before you start. Here I'm actually using some unaged tequila, and I'm going to turn it into an aged tequila. It's as simple as putting the funnel in, filling it up, and waiting. All right. Well, thanks so much for watching. Thanks for purchasing a barrel. For more information, check out our website, clawhammersupply.com. See ya.